Martin Pistorius was a happy boy leading a normal life until the age of 12 when he mysteriously fell into a virtual coma. Doctors didn't know why and he remained unconscious for 4 years. When he did come around and awake, his mind gradually regained consciousness, but he was unable to move or communicate, leaving him trapped inside his own body. It's an incredible story, and although Martin is still unable to speak, he's very good with alternative computer devices, meaning he's recorded his answers and he's here to tell his story along with his wife, Jonah. Fantastic to have you both here. Thank you for coming in, Martin.
Thank you. It is orientated, as well as not being able to move like I wanted to. Then I had a sense that something was wrong. I suppose you could almost describe it like when you were trying to wake up from a dream but can't.
And then, between the ages of 16 and 19, you started to regain consciousness, but you were unable to move, unable to let the outside world know that your brain was functioning normally. What was that process like?
To be honest, it is something which I find very difficult to describe, and I don't know if it will ever be possible to truly convey what it was like in words. I think two things in particular stand out. Firstly, probably the most dominant feeling is one of utter powerlessness. I think out of all the feelings I have experienced in my life, it is the one feeling I never want to experience again. I don't quite know how to describe it. It's like a cold, sinister, frustrating and frightening feeling which seems to throttle every cell in your body. And secondly, it was like you're a ghost witnessing life unfold in front of you and nobody knows you are there, which is why the book is called Ghost Boy. I was this boy and later this man-child who existed without anyone truly knowing I was there.
And you were aware of things going on around you, of history unfolding, and your intelligence was intact. You were completely able to comprehend what was going on.
Yes, I remember quite clearly Ayrton Senna's death, the inauguration of Nelson Mandela, the 9/11 attacks, the death of Princess Diana and many more. But nobody thought I was even aware of them, let alone the fact that I not only knew about them but was shocked, or excited or saddened like everyone else. For example, I remember the night of Princess Diana's accident. My father was caring for me. It was late at night when CNN broke the news. I remember my father staring at the television in disbelief, and he was totally oblivious to the fact that I knew too.
It's incredible that all that's going on and you're unable to express those emotions that you're obviously feeling inside. And the strain, you mentioned your father there, the strain that this must have put on your family, who had no idea that you were able to comprehend what they were saying around you, what they were doing around you. It put a terrible strain on the family, didn't it?
They each dealt with it differently. My mother at first tried but couldn't cope with it at all. She was literally mourning the loss of her child and would have nothing to do with me. Many years later she became more involved. In fact, she was instrumental in helping me to learn to communicate. My father at first threw himself into his work, I suppose trying to escape. Then when my mother fell apart, he stepped in, becoming this tower of strength, perhaps pushing his feelings deep inside, and dealt with it by dutifully caring for me. I think the fact that he had to be this strong, loving father, caring for and keeping the family together, sort of gave him a way to channel his feelings or keep his mind occupied with practical tasks. I don't know. I think they both dealt with it the best they knew how.
Incredible compassion from you, because I know in the book you also write about how your mum was willing you not to be there anymore, and probably as much for you as for the rest of the family. And I know that you've repaired those relationships, and in fact they were both instrumental in helping you to communicate. In 13 years after you fell into the coma, I think it was July 2001, you went to the Centre for Augmentative and Alternative Behaviour Therapies in Pretoria, and that's where you started to learn to communicate. Again, tell us a little bit about how that process happened.
That was a long and often very frustrating process. Following my visit to the Centre for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, they sent a report with suggestions and recommendations of what could be done to help me communicate. My parents then wanted to purchase a very basic communication device. However, the South African currency devalued drastically in a matter of weeks, and as all communication devices are imported either from the US or UK, they started looking for an alternative, which ended up being computer software. At the time, nobody in South Africa knew anything about it. None of the therapists were willing to help. So my mother took it upon herself to teach me, and we literally sat together every day for hours on end and learned how to use the programs. In the early days, my mother would learn how to do it herself and then teach me, but later we did it together.
Amazing, and a mother's love, you know, being tested in the way that it was, and for her to go through that process with you, I guess that really did help to reunite the bond. And then, you know, you hoped to find love, and you hoped that would be part of your life, but you didn't expect that that would come, because this was all a very challenging experience for you, wasn't it, growing up? And amazingly, you did. And one of the things that's so spectacular about the book is your love that comes through for Jonah and how your relationship started. It's just incredible.
Through my sister, New Year's Day 2008, it was about 10 p.m. I was sitting in front of my computer working on a website, and my sister Kim, who shared a flat with a good friend of Jonah's, they had invited a group of friends over, and my sister decided to Skype our family. And after talking to my parents, wanted to introduce the rest of the family to her friends. I turned around and there Jonah was. We started chatting, and before we knew it, everyone else had drifted off and it was well past midnight. I think we both knew instantly we had a special connection. We started emailing, texting and chatting online, and within 12 months I was living here and we were engaged. Really wonderful. Can't believe I am so lucky to have found such a wonderful person to love.
That picture there, I think, Jonah, was of your engagement, wasn't it? There was a picture just there of you in a hot air balloon.
Oh, yes.
I think that's where you got engaged.
That's
there
right.
you are, looking just incredibly happy, like a normal couple in love, and yet it's the most extraordinary story of how you got together. And you were the one that did the chasing, weren't you? You were chasing him by email, if you like, pushing the courtship along.
That's right, because at first we agreed that he would email me and didn't. He actually couldn't, Martin couldn't find the spelling of my name, because my name is spelled so different, but yes.
And you obviously were very, very honest, and again, this is candidly explained in the book about what the challenges were with you. And in fact, you said right from the beginning, this is the way it is with me, these are the things I can do, these are the things I can't do.
No, absolutely not. I am a very honest person as it is, but I feel while it can sometimes be scary, because you allow yourself to be vulnerable by being so completely open and honest, it is a key aspect to a good relationship. Besides, I felt safe with Jonah and I wanted to share all I could with her.
I changed the question slightly there. The original question we'd asked you was, you know, that you didn't want to keep anything back, and that's why you started the answer with no. Obviously, Martin's not lying. And this is the challenge of speaking to you in this way, but you can see, you know, you've got a great sense of humour when you realise there that the question didn't quite match the answer, but it was, you know, this love at first sight that you had when eventually, through, you know, huge challenges, coming from South Africa to England to meet you, and the scene when you see each other in the airport for the first time. Describe that for us, Jonah.
Oh, wow, that was amazing. I mean, I've been there for quite a few hours beforehand, waiting, just being ready. And I know Martin has quite a way of describing it as well.
In a word, magical.
Yeah.
I remember getting very emotional as I flew over the channel. The emotion became too much. Once I landed, I couldn't wait to get to her. Then the moment finally arrived, I came through the arrival hall door, my eyes hunting for her, and there she stood. I felt like my heart would burst with love. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It was almost indescribable. Jonah said, my liefie, which is Afrikaans for my love, and we hugged and held each other for ages. For a while it was like I couldn't believe she was real and really in my arms. It's strange, after that initial intense and wonderful moment, it felt so natural, like we have known and been with each other forever.
And then eventually you did come and live in the UK, and you know, you knew you were going to spend the rest of your lives with each other. What's life like now?
It's great. I suppose we live reasonably regular lives, work very hard, study and enjoy living our lives together. We like going to the cinema and spending time with friends. At the moment, our life is very busy, but we love living here. It's home.
And what are your plans for the future?
We have many. Like I'd like to complete my studies, to get a car which I can learn to drive, to have a good and very successful career, to travel. And probably one of the biggest plans is to buy a bungalow one day which we can adapt, or alternatively build our own.
And you've written this book, as I've mentioned, Ghost Boy, which is a beautiful and a very emotional description of the whole experience you've been through. What made you write the book?
It was something I had often thought about, and a number of people said I should do. But the time was never right, and then last year things seemed to fall in place, and so the book was born. It's been really good to be able to tell my story, and my real hope is that the book may touch and hopefully help someone.
I'm sure it will, and certainly inspire people. And Jenna, he's just got such an incredible way with words. And
oh, yes.
That must have been one of the things that captivated you, the way he's able to describe his emotions so candidly.
That's true, because living in two different countries and having this relationship, I mean, having such a nice way with words really did help with our relationship.
And finally, can I ask you, you have made such incredible progress. Do doctors ever foresee you being able to speak again?
To be honest, I don't know. But it's really not something I think or worry about. I am happy with who I am. Yes, life has its challenges, but then again, whose life doesn't?
Well, I don't think many people have the challenges you've overcome, and to see you together and the love that you have is truly inspiring. Thank you so much for coming on, and it's just a great pleasure to meet you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.